Well, hi everybody. My name is Matt Villano. I am the senior editor of the Expedia Viewfinder blog. I am absolutely delighted to welcome you to today's Google Plus Live Hangout on Air. We are here today to talk about Alberta, my favorite of the Canadian provinces. And we've got an all-star lineup of experts joining us today to help paint a picture of adventures in Alberta. Where to go, what to do, what's available, and really around what you could plan an entire vacation. And I've got a ton of questions. Some of those questions have come from you, our listeners, and so we want to make sure we get to those. But first, I'd like to make a couple of introductions. Again, this Hangout is brought to you today by Expedia, of course, and we are producing this Hangout today in conjunction with Travel Alberta. They have been a great partner to us, so we are delighted to work with them. And we have four other speakers who will be joining us today. And first, we've got Nancy Smith. And Nancy, say hello to the group here.
Hi, everybody. Welcome.
So there's Nancy, and Nancy represents Travel Alberta. She's been on the Travel Alberta team for 14 years, and she's told me that her favorite summer activity is hiking, and her favorite winter adventures are cross-country skiing and snowshoeing, so we're delighted to have Nancy with us. We've also, representing Travel Alberta, got with us today, hold on one second, Cameron Wood. There you are. Hi, Cameron.
Hey, how you doing?
All right, and Cameron has been with Travel Alberta for 3 years and has told me he spent the last 10 years exploring every corner of Alberta. Some of the stuff that Cameron likes to do: skiing, hiking, camping, fly fishing, and he's also been instrumental in making sure that all of our speakers get on the line successfully today. So thanks for that, Cameron. We also, representing some of the wonderful cities in Alberta today, have some folks as well. Tara, how do I pronounce your last name?
Gaucher.
Tara Gaucher. Well, there you are. Hi, Tara. And Tara is our resident Edmonton expert. She's born and raised in Edmonton, and she's passionate about eating, art, and as she describes it, signing up for any activity that involves getting sweaty. So we're excited to have Tara with us as well. And last but not least, we've got with us today Helen Upperton. Hi, Helen.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us today, Helen. Helen has a varied background. She's our resident Calgary expert today, and she also is a two-time Olympic bobsleigh pilot. She's an Olympic silver medalist and also the manager of community relations for Winsport, which is in Calgary. Is that correct, Helen?
That's correct.
And it's my understanding that in your free time, you also are an analyst for CBC Olympics, correct?
Yeah, I was at Sochi Olympics doing the coverage for the sliding sport. So.
Very, very cool. Well, it is a pleasure to be here with all four of you, and I'm really just the guy Smiley. I'm the dude who asks the questions, but I'm going to let you experts do all the talking. And we're really going to jump into things here because we've got a number of questions to get through. We don't want to keep folks for more than about 30, 45 minutes. So let's start with this one. You know, I've got a journalism background, so I always like to lead with the news. And there's been some news out of Alberta this summer in terms of adventures. Two new attractions this year in particular. We've got something called the Skywalk and something called the Via Ferrata. And Nancy and Cameron, let's start with you two. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about these attractions, what they are, what makes them unique, and why these attractions plus Alberta equals awesome.
Absolutely, Matt. I'll I'll start off here. So, as you said, we are really excited with having new attractions in the Canadian Rockies in Alberta. So, definitely the Glacier Skywalk. And the Glacier Skywalk is located on the Icefields Parkway, right just past Banff National Park on the border of Jasper National Park. And what's great about this is it is a arched glass walkway over top of the Sunwapta Valley. So you're actually going to be walking out on the glass. You're 918 feet over the valley, and you have the opportunity to see the glaciers from up there. The bighorn sheep actually migrate through that area, and it's really, they've created a neat educational experience. So as you're walking along the cliffside there, you can actually learn about the environment, you can learn about the architecture of this amazing thing, and you can learn about the environmental stewardship that went into building this magnificent thing in the Canadian Rockies. So that is really the newest thing to happen in the Canadian Rockies in a long time. And as you're driving from Lake Louise up to Jasper, that's a stop that you just have to make. The next thing is the Via Ferrata. So what Via Ferrata is Via Ferrata means iron road in Italian, and it is assisted rock climbing. So there are a number of them around the world, but what's really unique about this one is it's right outside the town of Banff, and it's brand new. So what you do is at Mount Norquay, the ski hill, you take the chairlift, one of the original chairlifts in North America, built in 1950, right to the top. There's a tea house up there, and then you start this rock climbing experience. And what they tell me is if you can climb a ladder and you're not afraid of heights, then you can do the Via Ferrata, because it is so an accessible way to learn how to rock climb, and it's really one of those very, very unique experiences that you can happen right outside the town of Banff.
And Cameron, put into perspective, if you can, I know these are new. How new are they?
Both opened this year. So Via Ferrata just opened up in June, and the Skywalk opened up in the spring. April 1st was their opening day. So these are brand new. Visitors this summer are the first people to actually try these experiences.
And so, Nancy, I've seen you moving around. Are you in a place where I can ask you a question here?
Go ahead. Yeah, please.
Okay, great.
Can you hear me okay?
I can see you just fine. Have you tried either one of these, the Skywalk or the Via Ferrata, Nancy?
I wish I could lie and say that I can, but I'm actually terrified of heights. So as much as those are great for adventure, I'm not your girl.
Well, the reason I was asking, and Cameron, I'll go back to you. Have you tried either one of them?
I have been up to the Skywalk, yes.
So what is it like? I mean, I don't want to take too much time, but I imagine if you've got vertigo like Nancy does, maybe you might want to stick to the trails or something. But what is the experience like?
Well, the experience, I mean, it really is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, standing 900 feet and looking straight down. The stream, the Sunwapta Valley right below you, the stream, you can actually see it's a major migration point for the bighorn sheep. So many times you can actually see them walking right underneath you, and then the glaciers all around you. It's just a really amazing experience, and it's you're up there in the fresh mountain air, glaciers around you. So that environment, but actually being suspended over this valley is an experience that there's nowhere else in the world that you can get that.
Terrific. Well, thanks for filling us in on the news. Those two destinations are up in the mountains, the Rocky Mountains, the Alberta Rockies.
Yes.
We've got two experts with us who represent the cities. Tara representing Edmonton and Helen representing Calgary. So let's focus for a moment here on the cities. And we'll tap the expertise of you two ladies here. Tara, we'll start with you. What would you say is really the best that Edmonton has to offer, and what makes Edmonton different from some of the other amazing cities in Canada?
I think it's, for myself, having lived in Toronto for quite some time, the blend of having a small town feeling with everything that you could want from a big city. We're so fortunate to have an immense green space in the River Valley running right through the center of it. So, you still have your opportunities for fine dining and scenic restaurants and nightlife, but literally 18, 20 feet away, you can park your car, go downstairs, and go for an amazing walk in the River Valley or rent a canoe. So it's the opportunity to do those outdoor adventure type of things, but actually just right in the middle of our own city. So it's a great destination to have a really full experience in one spot.
Great. And just as a follow-up, I've heard through the grapevine that people in Edmonton they take their theater and their live music pretty seriously. Can you just speak about that really briefly, Tara? Because
Oh,
those are adventures of another kind.
absolutely. So there's 10 days in August. We are host of the second largest fringe festival in the world. It's the largest in North America. There are 211 acts happening right now, and such a lively environment. I'm presenting a work myself, so there's local talent, there's international talent, street performers, food vendors, live theater. It's something that I think all Edmontonians really rally around, and we're proud of. So you say, I'm heading to Fringe Grounds, and everybody will meet you there. And as well, other theater festivals and music festivals that are happening all throughout the year. We're absolutely a festival city, and any opportunity to get some people together and celebrate art and culture, it's where we're at.
Very cool. Well, thank you. And that's happening right now?
Yeah. So the last day of performances would be the 24th of August, and this year is setting records. I think there's been about 110,000 people that have come through the gates so far, so it's a huge draw for our city.
Very cool, very cool. Well, Helen, everyone is familiar with the Calgary Stampede. So let's start there and broaden our scope from there. Give us in say 1 minute or less why the Calgary Stampede is so cool for you, and then maybe we can talk about some of the other really neat things about Calgary that make it unique among other Canadian cities.
So the Calgary Stampede, obviously an incredible festival to come and be a part of, and one of the biggest stampede and rodeo in the world. And I really think it does appeal to everybody and every age. And I think the thing for me that I love the most about what happens to the city during the Stampede is the entire city gets transformed back to the Old West. Like hay bales outside of corporate businesses, and everybody dresses in boots and hats. And Calgary's a pretty casual city anyways, but for those 10 days in July, it's just when visitors come, they're just blown away by how much the entire city really gets behind the Calgary Stampede. So public transit goes through the roof because nobody wants to drive anywhere. And there's not a lot of work that gets done during those 10 days. So there's lots of great breakfast, Stampede breakfast, lots of activities for kids. There's great music, different types of genres of music, obviously country and western's the theme, but we've had lots of great performers here, and lots of great animal exhibitions, and there's just lots to take in. And this year we had awesome weather, so it was a great Calgary Stampede.
So outside of the Stampede, tell us what you like best about Calgary and what you would say makes Calgary as far as a destination for metropolitan adventures. What makes Calgary stand out from other cities across Canada?
I think Calgary is starting to come really, it's come a long way with in the food industry, the shopping, downtown shopping. There's a great nightlife here, and lots of live music, lots of theater. I'm actually this week heading down to the East Villages doing opera in the park. So I'm heading down there to check out some live opera in the park. And I think also too, we're an Olympic legacy city as well, and there's this incredible facility here where people get to try all kinds of crazy things that there's very few places in the world that you get to experience some of the stuff we have. So people can come and be bobsledders, we can zip line people off the 90-meter ski jump tower in the summer. There's Canada's Sports Hall of Fame is here in Calgary, so there's so much stuff to do. It's a very outdoorsy and active city, and that's one of my favorite parts about Calgary.
Very cool. Well, thanks both to Helen and Tara for your input there. So next I'd like to go to one of the questions that we received from our audiences. We asked folks who participated in today's Travel Alberta Expedia chat, and also folks who have just been following what we were planning to do today. We asked them to submit some questions, and we got some great ones. The first question comes from a gal named Michelle from Canada, and Michelle asks, what sorts of historical tours, both self-conducted or guided, are there available in Alberta where you can learn more about the land and the people who have lived there? So, Nancy, let's start with you. Maybe we'll get Cameron to contribute some response on this one as well.
I think there's so many, first of all, but one area that I'm really interested is in the Indigenous peoples history, or the Aboriginal history of Alberta. And we have a number of attractions that are easily accessible by driving. One in particular is known as Head Smashed in Buffalo Jump. And I know that's a mouthful, but really it celebrates kind of the Blackfoot history of southern Alberta, which would have kind of paired up with Montana and the Western Plains. But it speaks of how the people lived off the land, and really nicely ties into the development of the West, because there's many fur trading forts and Northwest Mounted Police forts. Alberta's history is actually very young outside of our Aboriginal history. We're only over 100 years old in terms of settlement from European settlers. So between Head Smashed and Buffalo Jump, which tells a much larger history, to these historical trading forts, whether they're in Lethbridge or Crow's Nest Pass, Edmonton and Calgary also have wonderful historical villages that you can visit. And if you really want to go back in history, an interesting attraction is actually our Canadian Badlands, which are known for fossils and dinosaurs. In fact, Alberta is one of the richest fossil reserves in the world, and we have an amazing museum called the Royal Tyrrell Museum located in a town called Drumheller. And we also have a beautiful provincial park, which is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. That is one of the richest fossil reserves. You can take hikes and see the Badlands. And I'm excited to say that next year, up in the northern part of the province in Grand Prairie, we have yet another world-acclaimed museum dedicated to paleontology and dinosaurs going to open near a city called Grand Prairie. Cool. So that's what I would say, like so much history, but it's maybe not as old as European history, but very interesting nonetheless.
Great. And Cameron, before I go to you, Nancy, I just want to ask you to repeat so that people get the full name. It's Head Smashed in Buffalo Jump, is that correct?
You got it. Yeah, you get marks for that, sure.
There you go.
And that's near a town called Fort McLeod. Yeah.
Yes, and it's a museum, right? Because I've been up that way. There's a place where people can actually go and walk themselves through a bit of the history.
It is a museum, and the other thing that they do really well are live demonstrations of dancing, native arts, and really just bringing their culture to life for visitors alike.
Great. Cameron, anything to add?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just, Nancy mentioned UNESCO World Heritage Sites, and that's really interesting is that Alberta has 5 of Canada's 16 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Wow. So that is Banff National Park, Jasper National Park, Waterton National Park combined with Glacier National Park in Montana is an international peace park. Head Smashed in Buffalo Jump, which we discussed, as well as Dinosaur Provincial Park. So those UNESCO World Heritage Sites are really they've been categorized as World Heritage Sites because they've contributed to the heritage of Alberta and Canada in a unique way. And on top of that, Banff National Park in itself, the Banff Springs Hotel, which many people might be familiar with, is 126 years old now. So it came into existence when the railway came through here, and Banff National Park is the first national park in Canada, established in 1883, and it is the 3rd national park in the entire world. And you can actually visit the cave and basin right in the town of Banff, and that is actually an interpretive center that's been established by Parks Canada to celebrate the opening of the Canada National Park System, starting with Banff National Park well over 100 years ago. And finally, in the cities, if you really want to understand the heritage of Alberta, there's 2 places in particular: Heritage Park, which is located in Calgary, and Fort Edmonton, which is located in Edmonton. And these are living history museums. You can go there and see all different periods of Alberta history. They both have interactive exhibits, steam trains you can go on, all sorts of things, and interactive experiences, educational experiences. And it's really great for anywhere from students to adults to bring in the whole family to both of those historic sites.
Very, very cool. Well, thanks, and Helen and Tara, we're gonna move on here, but I do want to get you two to weigh in on one of the questions we've got coming up. But Cameron, you mentioned Banff, and
yes.
I think of all of the places that I've been in Alberta, that's one of my faves. If a visitor could see one thing in the Banff Lake Louise area, what should it be and why?
That's a tricky one. I mean, there's so many unique things to see. I mean, for me, and I think talking to visitors who, you can see pictures, but it's one thing to really experience is seeing some of the wildlife. Some of the wildlife you will see in Banff National Park include grizzly bears, include elk, include deer, bighorn sheep. One place in particular is at the Lake Louise ski hill. You can actually go up the gondola or the chairlift, and you can see the grizzly bears who come out and eat the grass and catch some sun on these ski hills during the summer. So viewing the wildlife in that natural habitat, and Parks Canada and Banff National Park, everything they really do is shaped around environmental stewardship and ensuring that wilderness remains as it has been for the last 100 years.
Great. Hey, Helen, I'm guessing that you must like winter sports since you like to climb in the bobsleigh from time to time. What would you say is sort of must see TV or must do adventure in Banff?
In Banff. Well, I had the unfortunate circumstance of being so committed to one activity in the winter for over a decade that I didn't get a chance to get out much. But now that I'm retired from competition, I love being outdoors. So skiing, snowboarding, snowshoeing in the winter are some of my favorite things to do. And I quite enjoy a fondue at the Grizzly House in Banff because it's delicious, and it feels so rustic and something that you should do in the mountains. So that's one of my favorite things to do after a good day outside exploring the mountains.
Of course. Is that a cheese fondue or a chocolate fondue?
I usually do like one of each, so like cheese, meat, and chocolate at the end. If you're going to do it, you have to do it right.
Yeah.
Totally. I'm with you. Tara, I'm assuming that you've been to Banff once or twice. What would you say is your sort of one absolute must-do activity there?
You just need to take a moment and get out of your car and let it all soak in. There's something so special about the drive approaching the mountains. They're getting bigger and they're getting bigger and they're getting bigger. But you honestly, you just need to go and have a moment of mountain air. I've gone on some amazing hikes as well. There's great nightlife in Banff as well, so that's one thing to do. And then the next morning you go on a solid hike. You sweat out all the bad choices you made the day before, and really just have some time where it's quiet, and it's peaceful, and it's clean, and it really is one of the most beautiful landscapes that I've seen, and I've traveled a fair bit, and it's I live close, and I forget that that's only just a few hours away from me, and I need to make it there more often because each trip is super special.
Awesome. Well, thanks to everybody for input. Nancy, I promise we'll get to you on this next question, but I want to keep moving things along here. The next one actually comes from one of our listeners. This question from a woman named Carolyn, who is here in the U.S. And Carolyn essentially is asking about food. So Helen, maybe I'll skip you this time since you just gave us your pick. But Carolyn asks, where is the best place in Alberta, not only to enjoy a meal, but a meal with a view? So Nancy, let's have you respond first since I skipped you last time.
I would have to say there's a town called Canmore. And what I love about Canmore is they actually, for being a small town, have an expansive list of amazing restaurants. Like, I could rattle off 12 that are world-class, just outstanding food. And just being nestled in a mountain town, you're surrounded by beautiful mountains. So the scenery is nonstop. So Canmore would be my pick. And I'm kind of a fan of Rocky Mountain cuisine, which is not that Canadian cuisine is defined, but for sure you have to have like a beer, a Canadian beer, maybe a local beer like Grizzly Paw. And for sure you have to have something with Alberta beef in it, a steak or a burger, something like that.
Excellent. Tara, what's your pick? Again, not just a meal, but a meal with you.
So right behind me is the Fairmont Hotel McDonald here in Edmonton, and the patio there overlooks the river valley, so you can see as far as you can to the left, as far as you can to the right, this gorgeous amount of nature, and the food is dynamite, and it's actually the 100th anniversary of the hotel this year, so a great accommodation to stay at if you're going to be here for a couple of days, but also I think just one of the most beautiful settings to be able to experience our downtown life, and then also the beautiful river valley as well.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah, we Fairmont has a number of just absolutely beautiful and historic properties all over Canada. So I know they've got some great ones. Thanks for that pick, Tara. Cameron, what is your pick for a meal with a view anywhere in Alberta?
A meal with a view. I'm gonna throw two at you this time. In Calgary, at the top of the Calgary Tower, which Helen was speaking about the Olympics, or the 1988 Olympics. There is a restaurant at the top of the Calgary Tower, which was built for the Olympics, and it's actually the torch from the Olympics. As well as I was speaking about the Via Ferrata earlier at Mount Norquay, and they newly renovated this summer is their tea house up there. So before you start the Via Ferrata, you can actually go up and have eat food up there, have a beer. They actually have a rooftop patio, which is definitely the highest rooftop patio in the area. And it's a really neat experience. That was originally built in around the 1950s, I believe, when that ski hill opened. So another historic place, and you're looking right out over the town of Banff, the Banff Springs Hotel, and Mount Rundo, which is the famous big sloped slope mountain right in Banff.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thanks. Thanks.
Cam gets two.
Go ahead, Nancy.
Cam
Yes,
gets two. Can I have one more?
Sure.
Okay, my other favorite is in another Fairmont property. It's at the Chateau Lake Louise. And if you sit in the Lakeview dining room, you get it doesn't matter what season, but that view can't be beat. And the meal is awesome too.
Very cool. Well, thank you, and I'm sure some of our listeners who perhaps have been to Alberta, listeners, if you've got some other suggestions, please feel free to submit them either on the G Plus page or tweet them to us. Just be sure to include the handles Expedia and Travel Alberta. Let's move on. We've got some other questions here. Another listener question. We try and keep this as interactive as possible. This is from Genevieve, who is up north of the 49th parallel, and she's asking about hiking. She asked, which hiking trail would you suggest for a full-day hiking trip? It can be anywhere in Alberta. And Cameron, I'm going to start with you here because I know you've had experience all over the state. Are there any trails way up north that perhaps might be sort of off the general tourist radar, but are worth hiking around on?
Yeah, absolutely. Hiking is a really popular sport in Alberta, and it can be done all over. I'm going to jump to Jasper, and we haven't spoken a ton about Jasper National Park, which is west of Edmonton in the Canadian Rockies. Jasper is what's really unique about Jasper is that's where the largest mountains are in Alberta in the Canadian Rockies. This is where your 12,000 plus foot-high peaks are. So the hiking up there is absolutely fantastic. One trail in particular is the Skyline Trail up there, and that can be done as a multi-day hike, but there are sections of it that can be done as full-day hikes. Mullane Canyon as well, which is just outside Jasper, is a beautiful glacier-fed canyon which leads into Mullane Lake. Mullane Lake is the largest glacier-fed lake in the Canadian Rockies. So ton of hiking trails within Mullane Canyon, as well as that Skyline Trail in Jasper National Park.
Cameron, I've got to ask, that tough woman behind you there, where is she hiking right now?
That is Jasper National Park. The exact trail, unfortunately, Matt, I'm not sure. We have some coordinates up there, but they don't come to mind. So maybe we could tweet that out afterwards for everybody.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I've just been looking at her, and the scenery is magnificent. So I figured I'd ask.
Well, you know what? That's a scene you're going to see all over Alberta is the high alpine peaks, the lakes, and just below, actually, you can't really see but wildflowers. That's something that this time of year you see a lot on the hikes is the wildflowers. Absolutely beautiful when you get up into these high alpine meadows.
Very nice. Helen, you mentioned that when you're not training, you like to hike, to snowshoe. How would you respond to this listener? Where is your sort of favorite hike anywhere in the province? But what is your go-to hike in Alberta?
Well, actually, my dad just got back from doing the Skyline, and I looked at the pictures, and they look amazing. So I think that's a pretty good one from Cam. A few weeks ago, I did Sentinel Pass, which is you start at Moraine Lake, which is absolutely stunning. It's like beautiful aquamarine water. You go through Paradise Valley with all the flowers. We went up over the peak of Sentinel Pass, and we actually hiked to another lake tucked around the corner, and then to the Giant Steps, which are a series of beautiful waterfalls. Had a picnic. It was just over 20K, so it was a doozy, but it was beautiful because you got like the full scope of everything. So that was a really nice one because you kind of got to experience like the full range of what hiking in Alberta encompasses. So
very cool, very cool. Hey Tara, when you lace them up, when you head out of Edmonton and you head out for a nice a butt kicking day hike, what's your number one?
Actually, I went on a cave tour just outside of Canmore a couple of weeks ago, and I've been caving before, more along the line like hold on to the guided handrail and just enjoy the dark scenery. But this was the full-on descending 16 stories underground, squeezing through little places that I was skeptical that I would fit through, but I did, and bigger people fit through them. So clearly it's accessible to everybody as long as you're willing to take a risk. So it's the Rat's Nest Cave just outside of Canmore, and a super great experience. And it's actually something that you can do all year long. So the temperature stays regulated in the cave, fairly well. So people actually go, even when it's minus 36 outside, they do their hike up the mountain, and then they go inside, and it's actually quite warm. The day that we went, it was probably 36 degrees outside, so it was amazing to get someplace that was a little bit cooler and explore underground. So.
Wow, and Tara, just to confirm, you said the cave was called the Rat's Nest. Are there rats?
Yeah. That's how it got its name. So the cave was actually the latter parts of it just discovered quite recently. So they saw it disappear. We're like, well, he had to go somewhere. So then the excavation continued to reveal this latter part of the cave that they're still exploring. So I didn't see any, luckily, but there's definitely a possibility that they're in there.
These are adventures in Alberta, right?
Yeah,
I mean, come on. If you're not willing to risk a couple of rat sightings, it's not an adventure.
True story.
Especially for people who, come from big cities like New York and LA, right? I mean, Nancy, I want to get your input on this. What would you say is top of your must-hike list for the province?
That would be anywhere in Waterton National Park. And Waterton is in the southwest corner. It actually borders Glacier National Park in Montana. And I have a young family, so we don't necessarily do 20K hikes like Helen or Cam or anyone else, but there's wonderful vantage points, easy hikes that maybe an hour to 2 hours in duration. And to be honest, like there's probably a dozen of them that we can tackle in a weekend and really enjoy it. So Waterton is one of the most scenic places, I think, too.
Terrific. I've been to Alberta a number of times, and Cameron, you mentioned Jasper. I think that was one of my favorite spots. I'm not a skier, believe it or not. Helen, don't be mad at me, but I know my wife is a skier, and she just said some of the skiing in Jasper was like the best she'd ever experienced. So I want to talk about Jasper, but really, since we're entering into winter. Let's sort of change the topic a little bit. Let's have each of you pick your favorite ski destination in the province. Cameron, we'll start with you and sort of work our way back to the right here. Jasper or not Jasper? Where would you go if you had one place to ski in Alberta, Cameron?
My ski hill is Lake Louise. I go to Lake Louise quite a bit, and Sunshine Meadows, of course, which are the two big ski hills located outside of Banff. So those are my ski hills living in Calgary. They are, one thing to know, Matt, is what's great about skiing in Alberta is that we have a very dry air, which makes the snow very dry, light, and fluffy. And that's really what we're known for here. Is a combination of that Canadian Rockies terrain mixed with that light snow makes for an incredible ski season and a long ski season, one of the longest ski seasons in North America, actually.
Terrific. Helen, what's your pick? Where would you, and I understand you've probably skied everywhere, but if you could pick any one place for one ski trip, where would you go?
The best ski trip that I've had recently in Alberta was doing backcountry skiing at Castle Mountain. We had amazing conditions. I went with a whole bunch of other retired Olympic athletes and active athletes, and we had a great time. And the guides were awesome. They catered to all different types of levels and abilities. Some people were on skis, some people were on snowboards. So that was pretty neat. I'm actually the same as Cam, though. Sunshine and Lake Louise are my most common destinations. And I do have to give a shout out to my place of employment, Winsport, Can Olympic Park, because there's a lot of tourists that come here, the ski hills in the city, and they give lessons to people. So if you're not ready to tackle the big mountain yet, we have a mountain right here in the city with some of the province's best instructors to teach people to get the basics down so they can go take on the big hills.
Awesome. Very awesome. Nancy, what's your pick? If you could ski anywhere in Alberta for one day, where would you go?
I'd go to Marmot Basin in Jasper. What I love is not many people know about it. It's kind of a good secret, but I'm willing to share it with your followers. But the lift lines are short, the terrain is great, and so is the snow. But I think you'll find the scenery, again, like, you know, when you're taking up a chairlift and you see the mountain ranges surrounding you, it'll take your breath away.
Terrific, and that was actually where we went, so I can attest to the fact that the bar at the lodge at the bottom of the hill also makes a really mean Manhattan, because I had a number of them while I waited for my wife to have her fun. So
excellent.
Good pick there, Nancy. And finally, Tara, again, one day, any ski hill in all of Alberta, where would you go?
I think like Old Faithful for me is also Sunshine. It's the hill that I know best and feel the most comfortable navigating. I'm kind of a terrible skier, and I'm just really skeptical. Like, I like my teeth a lot, so I'm just concerned sometimes that that's going to be an issue. So Sunshine, has the opportunities for that those black diamond runs, and then also for some timid skiers. But then just right in Edmonton, we actually have 4 ski hills as well. So that's where I learned to ski growing up. It was super common as a kid that, Fridays we pack up at lunchtime and take the yellow school bus to the ski hills. So there's opportunities to do that. You don't even need to live the city, and excellent conditions, reasonable prices, and also an experience that you can, get home that night type thing. So, yeah.
Very cool. Well, thank you. So Sunshine gets the vote of the crowd. That's great. They'll be happy to hear that. We've got 2 or 3 questions left. We've only got time for about 2 or 3. Let's talk for a minute about hotels. Expedia is a great place to book travel, bundle airfare and hotel. And so obviously a lot of people who are going to be booking trips to Alberta on Expedia will be thinking about hotels as they book as well. Cameron, you mentioned the Banff Springs Hotel a couple times,
Sure.
and Tara, you mentioned some of the Fairmont properties, including the one right out your window. Nancy, what would you say are some of the hotels in Alberta that people should not miss? And again, we don't necessarily have to pick super historic ones here. They could be new, they could be boutique, but which hotels would you recommend that people consider as they're planning their trip to Alberta?
Well, if you're coming to Calgary, there's a property called Hotel Arts, and I know a lot of people like staying at boutique-style hotels, and this is one of the best. So I would recommend Hotel Arts. One of the things in Canmore that's different is they have many condominiums that you can stay in. So if you're a family, or if you're looking to make your trip maybe a little more affordable and you want to have a kitchen in your suite, just look that up through Expedia and you'll find lots of them. I like Solera, I like Silver Creek Lodge, and lastly in Banff there's a group of properties that I like staying at called the Best of Banff. And they have a family of about 5 hotels. None of the names, like it's not like a chain hotel that you would recognize, but all are really, really good.
Excellent. Well, thank you for those recommendations, Nancy. Tara, let's go for some of your picks. Again, they don't necessarily all have to be in Edmonton, but which hotels would you recommend?
There's a great spot on White Avenue, which is one of our great walking streets with the cafes and shops and live music and whatnot, and it's called the Matera. And I think it puts you kind of right in the middle of the nightlife and in one of those really great streets that you would want to explore and a neighborhood that you would want to explore. So, it gives you kind of a flavor of what's going on, where things are happening. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thanks, Tara, and hello to your friend back there.
That was a cameo by John.
Love it. I love it. We should get his picks as well, but we're running short on time. So then I'll move to Helen. Helen, what would you say, from your perspective as a Calgary expert, but also somebody who's seen quite a bit of the state of the province? What hotels would you recommend?
Some of the little lodges in the mountains that I've stayed at and people I know have stayed at, their names elude me, but I really like some of this like backcountry pre-booked lodges. There's so many places where you can just like escape and get away from everybody and have almost like your own secluded little kind of place to stay. I really like that. In Calgary, I have to agree, Hotel Arts, but for two other reasons. They've got an awesome swimming pool that you can drink and eat at in the summer if the weather's nice, and the chef there, Duncan Lee, is one of the best in the city, so the food is awesome, and it's a neat hotel. And then the Chateau at Lake Louise is really kind of the, like, you should do it in your lifetime. And in winter or summer, winter with all the ice sculptures and the skating on the lake, and in the summer just because of all the beautiful scenery and all the things to do outdoors.
Very cool. Thank you. And last but not least, Cameron, again, I started this question by referring to you mentioning the Banff Springs Hotel. So obviously I know that's on your radar screen. What other hotels would you say are accommodations that people might want to consider as they go ahead to book their travel to Alberta?
Yeah, absolutely. Had some great ones here today. Some of the lodges that Helen was referring to. I mean, there's definitely a couple that you can drive into, but also hike into in the summer and ski. Skokie Lodge is one of them, which is at the Lake Louise Ski Hill, and there's a few others that you'll find on Expedia. Going back up north to Jasper, another Fairmont property, the Jasper Park Lodge, is absolutely beautiful. And if there's any golfers out there, the golf course at the Jasper Park Lodge is actually considered one of the top 3 golf courses in Canada, and is Alberta's top golf course. Down the street at the Banff Springs Hotel, the golf course there is also very good. So staying at those hotels and being able to golf, it's not so much my activity, but the spas at the Banff Springs Hotel as well as the Jasper Park Lodge are very, very good. I'm told by some of our friends at the office here.
Very cool, very cool. Well, Cameron, I know for the holidays I'm getting you a massage. That'll be my present to you.
Appreciate that.
Last question from one of our listeners here, a gal by the name of Tiffany here in the U.S. She essentially is asking, and I'm going to paraphrase here because we're running short on time, but she's asking for off the beaten path activities. Off the beaten path adventures, in keeping with the theme of today's talk. Nancy, you mentioned some great First Nations, Aboriginal, cultural tourism in the beginning of our presentation today, but Tara, what other sort of offbeat, pleasantly surprising type of adventures would you recommend, not only for Tiffany, but for others interested in maybe moving beyond the typical tourist type stuff?
You can go canoeing in the middle of our city. I think that's pretty exciting. There's a huge green space, Horlack Park. You go skating, you go paddleboarding, you do those types of things. But one other activity that comes to mind, is there's actually a wolf dog sanctuary. This is, Nancy, have you been to the Yamnuska Wolf Dog Sanctuary before? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just outside of Calgary now.
Right, and a great opportunity to pet a wolf. How does that happen? You see them in a zoo, you see them, in nature, but to actually get to feed a wolf and take one for a walk and do those types of things, I thought that was the most exciting thing I've been up to lately. So that's the Yamnuska Wolf Dog Sanctuary just outside of Cochrane, Alberta.
That's great, because wolves have gotten a bad rap with Frozen and some of these other popular movies. So anything to help wolves redefine their image, I think, is good. Nancy, what would you suggest beyond the Wolf Dog Sanctuary for some offbeat tourist type, not touristy type stuff, but offbeat adventure?
Mm-hmm. No question, it's anything to do with a helicopter. So in the summer, you can go for a helicopter tour, you can go helicopter hiking, or you could even do heli yoga. Yeah. And my favorite that I did last around Christmas was heli snowshoeing. So they take you up and leave you in a frozen lake, and we went snowshoeing around, and they picked us up, and I tell you, that is a once in a lifetime, but luckily I've done it more than once. So I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Very, very cool. Helen, what would you say for offbeat adventure? What would you recommend in Alberta?
Bobsledding? Yeah, I would say, I mean, I'm obligated to say bobsledding at Canada Olympic Park. It's a really, really cool thing to do, and I
Yeah.
take a lot of tourists and visitors and locals down the track, and it's a really neat to watch people's reactions. People tend to love it or hate it, but everybody's always glad they tried it. Calgarians love rafting and stand-up paddleboarding down the Bow in the summer. That's a very local thing to do. Not a lot of tourists do, but there's rental shops where you can pick up rafts, and it's super fun and a nice way to enjoy a kind of a view of the city and the weather if we have a good summer. And in the winter, dog sledding. I did that a couple times too, and it's one of the coolest things I've ever done. And such a neat experience. So I'd recommend that to pretty much anybody that comes to Alberta.
Very neat, very neat. And finally, Cameron, for the last bit of expertise that we'll be sharing with our listeners today, what offbeat adventure can you recommend for folks who will be traveling to Alberta?
East of Edmonton, there's a place called Elk Island National Park, and it is a fully enclosed national park and one of the smallest national parks in Canada. And I'm going to throw an interesting stat at you, Matt. In Elk Island National Park is the second largest population of hooved animals outside of the Serengeti, and that is the bison, and it is one of the last remaining large herds of bison or buffalo, and there's two types of bison there, the plains bison and the woods bison. What's really great about this is you can drive up to the park. It is fully enclosed, so you go through the gate and you can view the bison. When we were there, they were just walking down the middle of the road, but they're off in the fields. It's amazing for bird watchers. It's amazing for all sorts of wildlife viewing. Parks Canada does some great interpretive educational programming there where you can learn about the habitat of the bison and all the animals there. And then in the winter as well, you can snowshoe, you can cross-country ski. So it's not far off the beaten path. It's just east of Edmonton, but it's really one of those places that you really got to get out to when you're visiting Edmonton or really anywhere in Alberta.
Very, very cool. Well, from hooved animals east of Edmonton to skywalks hanging over the river valleys in the Rocky Mountains, clearly there's no shortage of adventures to be had in Alberta. I'd like to thank all four of our speakers today, Cameron Wood, Helen Upperton, Nancy Smith, and Tara Gaucher. You guys were a great quartet, and I really appreciate all of the expertise you shared. Listeners, thanks to you as well for tuning in. Folks, I'd like to thank Travel Alberta, and want to remind all of you that as you begin to plan your trips to Alberta, when you're ready to book those trips, we encourage you to book them on Expedia. You can save big bucks if you bundle airfare and hotels together, rental car as well, by booking with us, Expedia. And we certainly hope that as you continue to research your trip, you will come to the Expedia Viewfinder blog for some more information about Alberta. A number of our bloggers have been there this year. A number of our bloggers are planning to go in the next few months. So continue to check back. It's viewfinder.expedia.com. We'll be publishing original content about Alberta, and we are excited to continue this conversation with our friends in Alberta. But for now, on behalf of Expedia, I'm Matt Villano, thanking you for tuning in today, and we hope to see you back for another one of our live Hangouts on Air real soon. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.